There's something uniquely devastating about finding evidence of betrayal in your own home. The photo trembled in Emily's hands as tears carved silent paths down her cheeks. I stood in the doorway of her bedroom, my fingers pressed against the door frame, watching my stepdaughter's world crumble. "I saw them today," Emily whispered, her voice cracking. "At Riverside Park. Dad didn't see me, but I saw everything." The weight of those words hit me like a physical blow. I crossed the room and sat beside her on the bed, my arm instinctively wrapping around her shoulders. The photograph showed Mark, my husband, her father, with his arms around a woman I recognized from his office parties, Lisa Reynolds. They were laughing, caught in a moment of unguarded intimacy that made my stomach turn. "I didn't want to believe it," Emily continued, her fingers clenching the photo until the edges crumpled. "But then I followed them. I took this picture because I knew you'd need to see it too." I pulled her closer, feeling her body shake with suppressed sobs. 16 years old, and she'd had to become a detective in her own family drama. The rage building inside me wasn't just for myself. It was for Emily, forced to carry this burden alone until now. "Does he know you saw them?" Emily shook her head. "They were too busy laughing and touching." "God, Mom, the way he looked at her. He never looks at you like that anymore." The truth of those words stung, but I kept my voice steady. "How long have you suspected?" "A few weeks. The late meetings, the secret phone calls, but I thought maybe I was just being paranoid until today." She looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed but determined. "What are we going to do?" I took the photo from her hands, studying Mark's face. 15 years of marriage, and I'd never seen him smile quite like that. So unrestrained, so genuine. The woman beside him, Lisa, practically glowed with triumph. "First," I said, sliding the photo into my pocket, "we're going to order pizza and watch that terrible reality show you love. Then tomorrow, while your father's at work, we're going to do some investigating of our own." Emily wiped her eyes, a ghost of a smile playing at her lips. "You're not going to just confront him?" "No, sweetheart. When we move, we're going to make it count." I squeezed her shoulder, already feeling the familiar calculation of revenge taking shape in my mind. He thinks he's clever playing his little game, but he forgot one thing. "What's that?" "Nobody hurts my family and walks away unscathed." The next morning, Mark's cheerful whistling felt like needles under my skin as he moved around the kitchen. I watched him prepare his coffee, noting how he checked his phone every few minutes, his fingers tapping restlessly against the counter. "Big presentation today?" I asked, keeping my voice light as I stirred my tea. "Just the usual meetings." He didn't look up from his phone. "Might be late tonight. The Reynolds account needs extra attention." Of course it did. I wondered if he even realized how his voice changed when he mentioned her name. Reynolds, like a caress wrapped in professional courtesy. "Actually," I said, "I was thinking we could have dinner together tonight. As a family, Emily's been quiet lately, and I'm worried about her." That made him look up, a flicker of something, guilt, concern, crossing his face. "Is she okay?" "You tell me, Mark. When was the last time you really talked to her?" His phone buzzed, his eyes darted to it, then back to me. "Listen, I know I've been busy, but—" "Dad?" Emily stood in the doorway, still in her pajamas, her face carefully blank. "Can you drive me to school today?" Mark's hand tightened around his phone. "Sorry, sweetheart. I've got an early meeting. Your mom can take you, right?" I watched Emily's shoulders stiffen, saw the slight tremor in her jaw. "Right, of course you do." She turned and walked away without another word. Mark checked his phone again, then grabbed his briefcase. "I should go. Don't wait up tonight." After he left, I called Sandra. "I need your help. I said when she answered. How good are you at accessing company databases? Sandra's laugh crackled through the phone. Honey, I've been the IT manager at Thompson and Associates for 12 years. What do you need? Everything you can find on Lisa Reynolds. Emails, calendar entries, expense reports. I want to know every time she and Mark have been alone together. Jesus, Vera, are you sure about this? I thought about Emily's face in the doorway, about Mark's practiced lies. Absolutely sure. Give me a few hours, and Vera, whatever you're planning, be careful. Men like Mark, when they're cornered. I know, I interrupted, but he crossed a line when he hurt Emily. Everything else I might have forgiven, but not that. After hanging up, I went upstairs to Emily's room. She was dressed now, sitting at her desk, staring at her phone. He's with her right now, she said without looking up. I tracked his location. He's at her apartment. I moved to stand behind her, placing my hands on her shoulders. Good girl. Document everything. We're going to need it. Mom? Her voice was small. What if this breaks him? Some things need to be broken, I said, before they can be rebuilt into something better. The burner phone felt heavy in my hands. Mark had left his car unlocked while washing it, careless, just like his recent lies. The device had been tucked beneath the spare tire, wrapped in an old t-shirt. Amateur hour. Sandra's data dump had already revealed their pattern. Wednesday lunch meetings, Friday evening client presentations, weekend conferences that only they attended. But this phone, this was different. This was intimate. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through their messages. The timestamps told their own story. 2 a.m. conversations, photos I couldn't bring myself to open, plans for a future that didn't include Emily or me. Did you find anything? Emily's voice startled me. She stood in the garage doorway, arms crossed, looking older than 16. More than enough. I held up the phone. Your father's been planning to leave. He and Lisa have an apartment lined up in Boston. Emily's face drained of color. Boston? But what about my school? My friends? I don't think he was planning to take you with him, sweetheart. The silence that followed was deafening. Emily walked to Mark's workbench and picked up the hammer he used for his weekend projects. For a moment, I thought she might smash something. Instead, she placed it back down with deliberate care. You know what hurts the most? Her voice was steady, controlled. He's still pretending. This morning he promised to come to my debate competition next week. He's still playing daddy while planning his escape. My phone buzzed, Sandra calling. Vera, you need to get to the office, now. What's wrong? Lisa just submitted her resignation. She's taking a position at our Boston branch, and she's recommended Mark for a transfer to head up the new division. The pieces clicked into place. Not just an affair, but a complete life transition. They'd orchestrated everything while we remained oblivious. When? The transfer goes through next month. They're announcing it at Friday's board meeting. Emily was watching me, her eyes hard. They're not gonna get away with this, she said. I looked at the burner phone, then at my stepdaughter. No, they're not. But we need to be smart about this. Your father thinks he's writing the ending to this story, but he forgot something crucial. What's that? I pulled up the phone's photo gallery, finding what I needed. Screenshots of bank transfers, emails about property purchases, evidence of company funds being misappropriated. He forgot that the best revenge isn't just about exposure, it's about timing. Emily's smile was sharp. Friday's board meeting? Friday's board meeting, I confirmed, already composing a message to Sandra. Let them think they've won. Let them stand up there, proud and confident, ready to announce their new future. And then we show everyone exactly who they really are. Mark cornered me in the kitchen that night, his cologne mixed with unfamiliar perfume. We need to talk about Emily, he said, blocking my path to the stairs. She's been acting strange lately, distant. The audacity made my fingers curl around the edge of the counter. Now you notice? What's that supposed to mean? I placed the burner phone on the counter between us. His face went slack, then hardened. You went through my things. Funny how that's your first concern. Not explaining why you're planning to abandon your daughter. It's not. He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I once found endearing. You don't understand. Lisa and I. Save it. I pushed the phone toward him. Emily saw you with her, at the park. The color drained from his face. She what? Dad? Emily stood in the doorway, her voice trembling. Were you ever going to tell me about Boston? Mark's head snapped toward her, then back to me. You had no right. No right? Emily's laugh was bitter. Like you had no right to throw away our family, to lie to my face every day? Sweetheart, it's complicated. The business opportunity. Stop lying. Emily's shout echoed through the kitchen. I read the messages. You told her you wanted a fresh start, that we were holding you back. Mark stepped toward Emily, but she backed away. That's not what I meant. I was going to tell you. When? After you disappeared? After you started your perfect new life with her? Emily, I hate you. The words came out cold, calculated, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are. Mark's face transformed, something ugly emerging. Is that a threat? I moved between them. Back off, Mark. Or what? His laugh was cruel. You'll tell everyone? Go ahead. Who do you think they'll believe? The respected senior partner or his bitter wife and troubled teenager? You'd really do that? Emily's voice cracked. You'd make me look crazy to protect yourself? I'd do whatever it takes to protect what I've built. He grabbed his keys. Both of you need to think very carefully about your next move. After he stormed out, Emily collapsed against me, sobbing. He's really gone, isn't he? The dad I thought I knew? I held her close, my mind racing. Mark's threat changed everything. We couldn't just expose the affair. We needed to destroy his credibility completely. Sandra sent me something interesting today, I said quietly. About some irregular transactions in the company accounts. Seems your father's been hiding more than just Lisa. Emily pulled back, wiping her eyes. What are you thinking? I'm thinking it's time to call in some favors. Your father wants to play hardball? Let's show him how it's done. The game had changed. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about survival. Sandra spread the financial documents across her dining room table, each paper another nail in Mark's coffin. He's been siphoning company funds for months, she said, highlighting another suspicious transfer. Setting up his new life with Lisa, piece by piece. Can you trace where it all went? Property down payments, private accounts, even a boat. Sandra's laugh was bitter. Guess the Boston transfer wasn't enough of an escape plan. My phone buzzed. Emily's text made my stomach clench. Dad's cleaning out his office. Tonight. He's moving early, I said, showing Sandra the message. We're running out of time. Then we move now. Sandra pulled up her laptop. The board meeting's tomorrow. I can have everything ready, but Vera? She hesitated. This goes beyond exposing an affair. We're talking serious financial fraud. He could face charges. The weight of that settled over me. Good. Are you sure? Once we do this, he threatened to destroy Emily's reputation to save himself. My voice was steady, even as my hands shook. He doesn't get to walk away from that. Sandra's phone chimed. Her face went pale. Lisa's here, outside. I moved to the window. Lisa Reynolds stood on the sidewalk, hugging herself against the evening chill. When she saw me, she raised her hand in a tentative wave. What's she playing at? Sandra muttered. Let's find out. I opened the front door, letting the cold air in. Need something, Lisa? She glanced nervously over her shoulder. Can we talk? Please? Inside, Lisa perched on Sandra's couch like a bird ready to flee. Mark's not who you think he is, she blurted out. He's been lying to everyone, including me. Tell me something I don't know. He's not transferring to Boston. Her voice cracked. He's running. The company's investigating irregularities in his accounts. He told me we'd start fresh together, but… She pulled out her phone, showing me a message. He's booked a flight to Singapore, just for himself. The pieces clicked into place. Mark's sudden aggression, the rushed office clearing. He was abandoning ship, leaving both his families to drown. When's the flight? Tomorrow night. Lisa's eyes were wet. I thought he loved me. My laugh surprised even me. Oh, honey, Mark only loves himself. I turned to Sandra, who was already nodding. We move tonight, she said. I'll call the board members. Emergency meeting first thing tomorrow. What about me? Lisa asked. I studied her. This woman who'd helped destroy my family, now facing her own betrayal. That depends. How much are you willing to tell them? Lisa straightened her spine. Everything. I want him to burn. Good. I pulled out my phone to text Emily. Because tomorrow morning, that's exactly what's going to happen. The boardroom felt like a pressure cooker as Mark strode in, confidence radiating from his expensive suit. He barely glanced at me, sitting quietly in the corner beside Sandra's laptop. Emily waited outside with security, another piece of insurance I'd arranged. Before we begin, Mark announced, spreading his hands on the polished table, I have exciting news about our Boston expansion. Actually, Sandra interrupted, clicking her remote, we have a different agenda today. The first image appeared on the screen. Bank statements, transfers, dates. Mark's smile flickered. What is this? Your retirement fund? I suggested, standing up. Or maybe your escape plan. His eyes narrowed. Vera, this isn't the place. Singapore, Mark? Really? The board members shifted uncomfortably as I approached the screen. Were you planning to send postcards to Emily or just disappear completely? These accusations are ridiculous, he sputtered, but I could see the sweat forming on his temples. This is a personal matter. The company funds you've been embezzling aren't personal. Sandra pulled up more documents. Neither is fraud. Mark's mask cracked. He lunged for his briefcase, but security was faster. The USB drive he'd hidden fell to the floor with a clatter. Destroying evidence? I picked up the drive. That's not very professional. You don't understand what you're doing, he hissed, desperation replacing charm. I can explain everything. The boardroom door opened. Lisa walked in, her heels clicking against the hardwood. Please, she said, explain how you promised me Boston while booking tickets to Singapore. Explain how you used company money to buy our love nest while planning to leave us both behind. Mark's face contorted. You stupid bitch. Security footage, Sandra announced, playing a new video. Mark and Lisa in his office, their affair on full display. Timestamped during working hours. Very thorough documentation, Mark. He lunged at me then, all pretense gone. You manipulative whore! You've ruined everything! Security grabbed him as Emily burst in, phone raised. Got that on video, Dad? Should go great with your assault charges. But Mark had one last card to play. He laughed, the sound borderline hysterical. You think this matters? The money's already moved. Offshore accounts, untraceable. You'll never prove anything. Actually, a new voice said. The board chairman stood holding up his phone. Your Singapore banks just confirmed the freeze on all suspicious transfers. Seems your wife's evidence was quite compelling. As security led Mark away, still shouting threats, I felt hollow instead of triumphant. Emily's hand slipped into mine, trembling. "Mom," she whispered, "what happens now?" I watched Mark disappear through the doors, taking 15 years of my life with him. Now we rebuild, without him. But the victory tasted like ashes in my mouth, and I wondered if revenge was worth the cost of seeing my daughter's last illusions about her father shatter before her eyes. The police station's interview room felt smaller than it should. Mark sat across from me, orange jumpsuit replacing his designer suits, his eyes hollow but still burning with that familiar arrogance. "Come to gloat?" he asked, hands folded on the metal table. "Emily wants to see you." His mask slipped for a moment. "Really?" "No." I placed a manila envelope between us. "But I wanted to see your face when you realized she doesn't." He opened the envelope, hands trembling slightly as he read the papers inside. Divorce documents, full custody arrangements, financial settlements. "You can't do this." "Already done. The board's internal investigation found everything. Singapore accounts, shell companies, even that boat you bought Lisa." I leaned forward. "Did you name it after her or me?" "This isn't about money," he snarled. "This is about you turning my daughter against me. You did that yourself, the moment you decided we were disposable." His laugh was bitter. "And you're so perfect? Look at what you did. The planning, the manipulation. You're just like me." "No." I stood up, my chair scraping against concrete. "I protected our daughter. You abandoned her." "Our daughter?" His voice rose. "She's not even yours. You're just the replacement mother who—" The door opened. Emily stood there, Sandra behind her, with a recording device. "Thanks, Dad," Emily said, her voice steady despite her pale face. "That'll help with the custody hearing." Mark lunged to his feet, but the guard moved faster, restraining him. "Emily, sweetheart, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did." She stepped into the room. "You meant everything, just like you meant to leave us, to steal that money, to destroy our family. I'm still your father." "No." Emily placed a photo on the table, the three of us at her 15th birthday, before everything fell apart. "A father wouldn't do this. A father wouldn't hurt us like this." Mark stared at the photo, his facade finally cracking. "Please." "Goodbye, Dad." Emily turned away, then paused. "Mom, let's go home." As we walked out, Mark's voice followed us, breaking. "Vera, you can't take everything from me." I stopped at the door, looking back one last time. "You took everything from yourself, Mark. We're just making sure you face the consequences." In the parking lot, Emily broke down, sobbing against my shoulder. Sandra touched my arm. "You okay?" I watched the police station through blurry eyes, thinking of the man inside who'd once been my whole world. "No," I admitted, "but we will be." Emily straightened, wiping her eyes. "Can we get ice cream?" I laughed, surprising myself. Ice cream sounds perfect, because sometimes moving forward means letting go of the past, one small step at a time. The moving boxes created a cardboard maze in our new living room. Emily sat cross-legged on the floor, sorting through photo albums while I unpacked kitchen items. The afternoon sun painted everything in warm gold, making even the dusty corners feel like possibilities. "Found another one of him," Emily said, holding up a photograph. "Garbage pile or burning pile?" "Neither." I took the photo, Mark at Emily's middle school graduation, his proud smile now seeming hollow. "Memory box. Someday you might want to remember the good parts, too." She frowned. "Why would I?" "Because healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning to carry it differently." The doorbell rang. Sandra stood outside with a small tree sapling in her arms. "Housewarming gift," she announced. "Figure every fresh start needs some roots." We planted it together in the backyard, our hands dirty with new soil. Emily named it Phoenix, making us laugh. Mail's here, Sandra called from the front, including something from the courthouse. My hands trembled slightly as I opened the envelope. Mark's sentencing details, final custody arrangements, divorce papers marked completed in red stamp. Mom? Emily's voice was small. Are you okay? I looked at my daughter, because that's what she was, regardless of blood or biology, and saw the same question in her eyes that lived in my heart. Was revenge worth it? Did justice heal what was broken? Come here, I said, pulling her close. Want to know something strange? I thought this would feel like winning, like some big triumphant moment. It doesn't? No, it feels like. I searched for the words. Like putting down a heavy bag I didn't realize I was carrying. Sandra touched my shoulder. There's one more letter, from Mark. I stared at the unopened envelope, his familiar handwriting stark against white paper. Emily tensed beside me. We don't have to read it, she said. No, I agreed, we don't. I placed the letter in the memory box alongside the photographs. Not everything needed an answer. Not every story needed a neat ending. Hey, Emily said suddenly, remember that terrible reality show we watched the night everything started? God, yes, with the drama queen and her pet peacock? It's on tonight. She grinned. Pizza and mockery session? I looked around our new home. Boxes everywhere, walls waiting for pictures, a baby tree taking root in fresh soil. The letter sat unopened, Mark's words unread, some questions better left as questions. Pizza and mockery sounds perfect, I said, and meant it. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying what hurt you. Sometimes it's about building something new from the ashes, one ordinary moment at a time.